So, okay. So starting off with number one, improving your value proposition. I know this sounds simple, but I want to address it because it's so important. This really is, the core benefit your product provides, like the better you make your product, the more value you're providing your customers and the better it's going to sell. So as an example, if we look at computers, adding value proposition in one way could be performance. So by having a faster processor or whatever, by improving the technology, you're adding value. That's increasing the value proposition to your customers. And actually, that's what innovation is all about. It's improving the value proposition. The way, how sometimes every now and again, like maybe every couple of months or every couple of years, you have one of those times where you hear something and it changes the way you look at business forever. Well, let me tell you a story. Remember that founder of that big e-commerce store I was telling you about that did high 8-figure turnover last year?
Yeah.
Well, I was having a coffee with him and we were talking about conversions and he goes to me, Sash, my conversions change on a day-to-day basis. If interest rates go up or down, that determines our conversion, changes our conversion. If we were featured in the news that day or someone saw us on TV, that changes our conversion. But really the biggest thing is price, because these guys, they compete on price. So they pride themselves on having lowest prices for their industry. And that's their competitive advantage. So that's their value proposition, having the lowest prices. He goes, as soon as if our competitors' prices are better than ours, our conversion goes down because that's our value proposition. We're not delivering it on it. So that's why they're like, well, that's why, it's so important. We always have the best prices. That's their thing. But, and when he told me that, it's just one of those moments where I was like, wow, and I sort of got a shift and I began seeing value proposition in everything. So, for example, if we look at Seinfeld, do you watch Seinfeld? Have you seen that Soup Nazi episode?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's like a soup Nazi and he makes the most amazing soup for those that people haven't seen it. But this guy, the soup chef Nazi, he's very rude and like it's very hard to even buy the soup. You got to follow his rules and be polite and all that just to get this really amazing soup. And what that shows is like if you've got that amazing product, it doesn't matter if you're rude to your customers or your shop or rules are hard to follow. People will buy it anyway. So that's just like, for example, let's say the Apple iPhone. I mean, Apple's marketing on their website is amazing. It's exceptional. But even if it wasn't and it was just a picture of an iPhone and the buy now button and said what it could do, people would still buy it in truckloads because the value proposition is that it's just so amazing what it does. So as an example, let me show you value proposition in other products. There's the flip camera. It came out a couple of years ago, and back then, all the digital camera companies were about, improving their megapixels and having more memory and more features and this or that. And for consumers, many consumers were just confused, like, well, how the hell do I use it? Or it's really complicated. And then Flip, or I think Citrix, the company behind it, came out with a flip camera, which actually stripped away lots of the features. Their memory wasn't as big as other cameras. The quality wasn't, the best in the world. It was HD, but it wasn't like ridiculous. And it wasn't the cheapest camera, but it was still, it was at that price. It was for a niche, and for that niche, people want a simple camera that's easy, quick, fast to use. It was just they're like, wow, this is exactly what I want, and it sold in truckloads because the value proposition was there. For example, for a fashion brand, they're like Prada, their value proposition is the exclusivity and exclusivity. Yeah. Shit, I can't say it, but you know what I mean. And I'm getting excited here. Their value proposition is just having like the fashion best designers, being featured in magazines. That's what gives them value. So it's different for each business. You really got to figure out what is my core value proposition, and then keep improving it. Always be innovating and giving more value to your customers than your competitors do.
Fantastic.
That's what it is at the end of the day. So, that's yeah. Principle number one: if you don't, everything, if you have a bad value proposition, you can have the best marketing in the world, but it's like putting lipstick on a pig. It may look better, but it's still a pig.
Yeah.
So make sure you apply a good marketing to a good value proposition. So moving on.